Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. News broke yesterday, just in case you missed it. Kind of big news that the SEC is seeking to have ETH declared a security. There is an investigation underway, so there haven't been any sort of a formal lawsuit filed to this point. But I kind of get the sense that when the SEC starts investigating anything in the world of crypto, it's a virtual certainty that the next step will indeed be litigation. So won't be surprised if that indeed occurs. Not guaranteed, but having gone through with the rest of you fine folks out there, the nonsense from the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit over the last few years, I've noticed that there's been a little bit of a different reaction from everybody in the world of crypto, just about. You know, when XRP was under attack effectively, even though the lawsuit was against Ripple, they might as well have sued actual XRP holders because they were claiming that XRP was a security. While that was happening, like, we were all being mocked by huge swaths of participants, well-known and allegedly reputable participants within the world of crypto. Like, remember Bitcoin maximalist Anthony Pompliano? The day the news broke, he said, "Good morning," and I'm paraphrasing here, but good morning to everybody except those who thought they could sell unregistered securities and get away with it. It's either exactly that or something close to it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's like people's financial well-being destroyed in this moment. And then we get crap like that. The tribalism, not rallying together. It's just gross. And so XRP effectively shunned by pretty much the whole industry. And even those that weren't outright laughing at XRP holders and mocking us, even those who weren't, they weren't fighting with us. They weren't helping to get the word out. In fact, it wasn't until way later in the lawsuit that there were finally a bunch of entities that filed amicus briefs in the SEC v. Ripple case. But that came way later. Where was the public outcry? Where was the defense? And so you're seeing a whole different ballgame now from all sorts of participants. And if you want to be friendly to these types of people, at least the ones that weren't being toxic about it back then, you could posit the idea that it's because they just didn't understand the severity of the situation. They didn't understand that it wasn't just XRP getting attacked and Ripple. It was the entire crypto asset class. But from the beginning, Brad Garlinghouse called that out. He said that's exactly what it is. This is not just an attack against Ripple. It's an attack against all things crypto and blockchain. And again, I'm paraphrasing there, but that is the message Brad Garlinghouse delivered, and he was spot on. And so we're all under attack. And there wasn't. But now what are you seeing? You're seeing from, executives, the people at the highest level of Coinbase speaking out against this. What happened, though? What happened in 2020 into early 2021? Exchanges delisted or suspended trading of XRP, including Coinbase. Where was the hesitation there? Where was the public outcry? Where was Coinbase fighting back? No, we're not going to delist. And mind you, I don't mind. I don't blame the exchanges for being prudent and pausing the trading of XRP. They're looking out for their families or their employees, which have families. So on and so forth. I've gone through that whole spiel before, and I do believe that still. But this is markedly different, so I'm noting that. And yes, I understand. In the case of XRP, there was an actual lawsuit filed, but they're not acting the same. So maybe it is the case that that all sorts of participants, including higher-ups at Coinbase, maybe they finally get it. Maybe they really do finally get it, that it's the entire industry under attack, and acquiescing to the SEC the way they did when they delisted XRP, that doesn't work. So it could be, and a lot of people are sour right now, and I understand why, because there's this image that maybe they really do just despise XRP, because there's been all sorts of theories around that for years. And I can't say for sure. I can't. There are so many people and so many well-known people in high places in the crypto industry that do despise XRP. So the concept's plausible. But I also see the point that maybe it really just is that they, with their lawsuit with the SEC now, they've realized they can't give an inch, even though they did in the past and they shouldn't have. Maybe they learned their lesson. So take a look at this headline from the Crypto Basic. Coinbase CLO says SEC has no justification to deny Ethereum ETFs amid security status concerns. Coinbase CLO hopes the SEC does not fabricate reasons questioning the regulatory status of Ethereum as a non-security in order to deny the multiple ETH spot ETF applications. Coinbase's chief legal officer, CLO, Paul Grewal, no, actually it's pronounced Graywall. It looks like Grewal, I know that, but I've heard him say it's Paul Graywall. Anyway, so Paul Graywall has become the latest crypto stakeholder to comment on recent reports suggesting that the US SEC is attempting to categorize Ethereum as a security. For the uninitiated, the crypto industry received a report from Fortune yesterday stating that the SEC is pursuing a legal campaign that could classify ETH as a security. According to Fortune, the SEC ordered several U.S. crypto-related businesses to provide vital documents and financial records about the Ethereum Foundation that could help with its ongoing investigation. Although the SEC has yet to confirm or deny the report, crypto enthusiasts see the news as a stumbling block that could affect the potential launch of the spot Ethereum ETFs. It is worth mentioning that several asset managers, including BlackRock and Fidelity, have already filed to launch Ethereum funds in the United States. And so it turns out BlackRock has figured out what we knew made sense over half a decade ago. I mean, when I launched this channel in 2018, I'd been in crypto for a little over a year at that point, and I was talking right out the gate about the fact that pretty much everything under the sun in the future will be tokenized, and BlackRock now agrees. Over half a decade later, they're catching up finally. And so you might think, though, with BlackRock being as powerful and well-connected as they are, is it as likely that ETH is going to face as tremendous a legal hurdle as XRP ultimately had to face? I don't know for sure. I suppose if you look at that, I guess it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt anybody that's an ETH holder. And by the way, I'm an ETH holder. I'm pro ETH. I've been holding. It's the first crypto I ever bought. Been holding since 2017. I do not want the SEC to attack any more entities in the crypto space. I do not, and I will push back against that. I will speak against it on my channel. I will continue to. But at the same time, I'm going to acknowledge the disparities in the way that people have behaved in both instances, the XRP lawsuit, and if there's a lawsuit ultimately with the SEC and ETH and the Ethereum Foundation. I'm going to note the disparities, but I will still push for everybody to have as much of a unified voice as possible, because if it doesn't go well there, and I think another reason that people are probably a bit less afraid now is XRP itself was declared to not be a security in no uncertain terms. The SEC even said they're not going to appeal that portion of Judge Torres' decision. They publicly stated that to the judge. It's written. It's in a signed document. And so upon that occurring, I would imagine that also would give all sorts of participants in the space, including Coinbase, more optimism that, should there be a lawsuit, and should it, go... It'll take years, folks. It'll take years unless there's a settlement. It'll take years. Should that unfold, I think that a lot of entities are out there in the crypto space are assuming, and I'd say reasonably so, that ETH is going to be found to not be a security, just as was the case with XRP. So if we're going to go through this whole rigmarole and waste taxpayer dollars and literal years, okay, if we got to do that, that's stupid as hell. But ETH's going to come out shinier on the other side for it. It's just a shame that we'd have to go through that if we do. But take a look at this post. So this is the post from Paul Graywall, Coinbase's chief legal officer. And again, it's just, I understand why people are disappointed. You didn't see this after Ripple got attacked, and as a result, XRP holders were attacked. You didn't see this. Where was this defense out the gate for us XRP holders? I mean, fine, credit where it's due. Coinbase ultimately did file an amicus brief, but where was the outrage from the get-go? Where was the effort to get everyone in crypto riled up and be like, hey, eyes on this, please. Take a look right here. Look at this thing. This mattered. Where was that? We didn't have that. There wasn't even vocal outrage. They just halted the trading of XRP. Anyway, here's what he wrote, though. Sigh, again with the ETH misinformation as we await a decision on ETH ETPs, which are exchange-traded products. And an ETF is a type of ETP, in case you're wondering. Okay, let's talk about some basic facts about Ethereum. Millions of Americans hold ETH. It has been vital to crypto since its 2015 launch, and ETH is a commodity, not a security. The SEC has taken this position for years. Exhibit A, senior SEC officials have said ETH is not a security. C, e.g., SEC Director of Corporation Finance Hinman's statement. And we're all well versed with that, so I don't need to go into that. Exhibit B, before he was SEC chair, Gary Gensler himself testified before Congress that ETH is not a security. See his testimony. And isn't that rich? ETH wasn't a security then, but it is now. And look, I'm not surprised because even though I think it's a bogus argument, and maybe it is because they switched to proof of stake and they'll try to use that as an excuse, like that's very plausible that that's the rationale he's using for doing a complete 180 on this. Because on the day that Ethereum switched to proof of stake, he was publicly speaking about how that just he didn't say ETH specifically, but it's like a system that's proof of stake that doesn't mean that it's somehow a non-security. It was, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was along those lines. It was on that day he did speak out. So I was like, that's probably not good for anybody that likes ETH. And it wasn't, and it's not, and here we are. Exhibit C. And even very recently, the SEC's trial lawyers continue to compare ETH to Bitcoin, and then provides a link to that. Comparing ETH to Bitcoin. So it's like Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's fine, but ETH is magically not fine. Okay, have fun in court. That's not going to go well for you, little asshat pricks at the SEC. And then Paul Grayball continues. The CFTC and federal courts have consistently confirmed that ETH is a commodity. Exhibit D. ETH futures contracts started trading on CFTC-regulated futures exchanges in 2021. Exhibit E. The Howey test doesn't determine ETH's status, and as we have explained in depth in our in other proceedings, digital assets like ETH that do not involve an ongoing contractual obligation related to a business enterprise are not investment contracts or otherwise securities. I'll just pause to note that, Paul Grayball, you can thank Ripple's attorneys for being the first to make that argument. Exactly. There's no actual contract even. How can it be an investment contract? There's no contract. So Paul Grayball arguing that point there, which is a great point, obviously. He continues. Exhibit F. Even if we were to apply Howey, ETH utterly fails that test, and nothing about the merge changes that conclusion. The SEC has no good reason to not deny the ETH ETP applications, and we hope they won't try to invent one by questioning the long-established regulatory status of ETH, which the SEC has repeatedly endorsed. That's not how the law works, and Americans deserve better. And so, I applaud the thread. I'm glad he did it. And I'm going to continue to not be tribal on this topic and say we need to rally around this cause. We should. It's in our interest, frankly. But don't think for a second I'm not going to highlight the difference in how this is being treated versus how the XRP community was treated. It should be highlighted. That's why I'm doing it. So I'm going to do that. And I'll do it as frequently as I damn well please, because it's my channel, damn it, and I do what I want. But, yes, at the end of the day, of course, I'm going to push for us to be not so tribal on this. It needs to be said, though. It needs to be said. Because we were given the shaft. We were shunned by the vast majority of this industry. And even people who didn't despise us and mock us. Again, where was the action? It wasn't until the end of the case when finally people were getting the message, no, really, you're next. If this doesn't go well for XRP, you're in trouble too. Whatever coin you like. Yeah, big trouble. So here we are. And so here's a post from XRP community member Wheezy. He said, with all due respect, so he reposted Paul Graywall and said, with all due respect, where was this when XRP was sued? Coinbase was quick to delist. And there are tons of posts like this. It's just one I chose to highlight, but endless posts along these lines. Brad Garlinghouse reposted Paul Graywall's thread, which I just shared with you, and Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, wrote, the SEC picked fights with the industry and is losing badly in the courts. They're now fighting fellow regulators like the CFTC and falling behind international counterparts. At what point will the SEC realize they will lose the war against ETH just as they lost against XRP? And I actually wrote back to him and said, my guess is they'll realize as soon as there's new leadership. Kim Jong-Gensler has got to go. And I think that's probably correct. I mean, maybe there's no lawsuit. It's possible, especially with, powers that be and BlackRock and who knows what the hell's happening behind the scenes. But if Kim Jong-Gensler were gone, that would probably go. Like, frankly, an administrative change from the top down. Because the current administration from the top down is the most anti-crypto that we've ever seen. It's disastrous. I mean, I thought it wasn't good under the previous administration. It wasn't good with Jay Clayton, who may be reptilian. There may be something to that. Maybe a lizard person. It's very possible. That wasn't good either. Somehow, Kim Jong-Ginsler made it even worse. So it's not going to go well for the SEC, but if you think they're not going to go for it, I mean, it's totally plausible that they're going to. That post from Brad Garlinghouse was reposted by Stuart Alderati, Ripple's chief legal officer, and he wrote, "Congress must stop funding this insanity." Golf clapped for that one, for sure. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be fantastic. Because the SEC is a garbage agency with despicable people. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.